Teachers and parents, today I'm going to give you a strategy that is so easy to do that it's guaranteed to help improve your children's reading comprehension. Kumusta po kayo? I'm Chris Austria, a retired reading and literacy teacher and a superintendent from the United States, now based in the Philippines. It is important for us to remember that in order for us to help our children reach their full potential with their reading comprehension, we must, as the adults, model good habits of reading. And one of those good habits that I'm talking about is think aloud. That's correct. It's called thinking out loud or think aloud. Think aloud is a very simple yet powerful strategy in helping our children improve their reading comprehension. And as the phrase says it, thinking out loud is just merely that. It's being able to verbalize what's going on in your head when you are reading. And as a teacher and a parent, it is your responsibility to model this good behavior. By thinking out loud or by verbalizing your thoughts while you're reading, your children can see what it's like to be a good reader. At the same time, it removes all the mysteries. It removes all the obstacles in how to read effectively. A lot of times, our children lack confidence because they don't know what it is like to be a good reader. But by thinking out loud, our children can peer in to our minds and say, yes, I can do that. Yes, I do that too. Or yes, that's what I should do. So let's get started. Let me model what thinking aloud is. You can do think aloud with any type of reading material. You can do it with a novel. You can do it with a nonfiction. You can even do it with a science book. The most important thing is the behavior that you will exhibit while reading. So here's an example. I chose a story from this book, and the title of this story is Rikki Tikki Tavi. Rikki Tikki Tavi. The first thing I'm going to do is make prediction. So when I say Rikki Tikki Tavi, as I read the title, that's an interesting title. I wonder what the story is going to be. Very interesting indeed. Rikki Tikki Tavi. At this point, you're allowing the students watch you as you grapple with some questions in your head on the main idea of the story, because you're asking yourself as a good reader what the title is about or what the story is going to be about. The second thing that you can do is make connections. So as you read, and you have to model your reading as well when you're thinking out loud. You're not just asking questions now. You're not just talking in your head. You are also modeling good reading behavior. So I'm going to read a paragraph from this story. One day, a high summer flood washed him out of the burrow where he lived with his father and mother and carried him kicking and clucking down a roadside ditch. He found a little wisp of grass floating there and clung to it till he lost his senses. When he revived, he was lying in the hot sun on the middle of a garden path, very draggled indeed, and a small boy was saying, "Here's a dead mongoose. Let's have a funeral." After reading that paragraph, then you have to take a pause and ask yourself, make a connection and say, okay, something happened here with him. So he got swept in the summer flood. Yeah, I remember watching one time when there was a storm in our neighborhood and I saw the flood coming. That must be an interesting time for those animals or critters going through that flood. So right there, you're making a connection because you are relating your experience with the character's experience. But by talking it out loud, as you have, if you make those connections in your head and saying it, you're giving your students the license or the permission to think like that as well. And number three, the next thing that you can do is clarify confusions. Clarify confusions. So In that paragraph alone, we have probably some words that may be difficult for the students to understand. For example, the word draggled. So you can say draggled. I wonder what draggled means. Let's clarify that. Let's find out kind of the meaning of the word draggled. If I look at the words before it and the words after it, can I figure out the meaning of draggled? There you go. You see how, as you work through the misconception, as you work through the vocabulary, you are thinking about it, but you are thinking out loud. So you're giving, again, the permission for the students to pause as they read and ask questions in their head. That's a very important skill to know, because oftentimes we allow our students, or we do not correct their behavior while they're reading. It is very important to remember that our focus here is reading comprehension. So it's okay, give your students the permission to think in their own language when they're asking questions as they read. For example, Ricky Tiki Tavi. Ano kayang ibig sabihin nito? Ricky Tiki Tavi. Maganda kaya ito? You see, it's a perfectly valid question asking in their native tongue. As an example, draggled. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng draggled? Hindi ko naman alam yan. Ano kaya? Tingnan ko nga kung paano ko malalaman ang meaning nitong draggled na to. Teachers and parents, there you have it. Thinking out loud. A very simple strategy and yet powerful in helping our students improve their reading comprehension. Maraming salamat po sa panonood. Hanggang sa muli.